Greetings, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have drifted into the Underworld. The Star Wars Underworld. I have a bad feeling about this.
Here we go. We must go to the lower levels. The Underworld.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
You're after something.
Ben.
Since I've started the Underworld, I've met so many great friends.
Chris.
I grew up in the 1990s, and mall packaging is nostalgic for me.
Dominic.
What I love most about Star Wars is that it's fun, and it's all-round good times.
So, this is where the fun begins.
May the Force be with us.
This thing really moves!
Whoa! I like this!
I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
What's up, Star Wars fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Star Wars Underworld podcast. We are your source for the latest breaking Star Wars news and discussion each and every week. And this week on the show is Rogue Squadron back from the brink. We're going to be examining the newly updated Disney film release schedule. We've also got more updates about Obi-Wan Kenobi, including a few spoilers towards the end of the show. And we have some exciting publishing news, including a new Mandalorian comic series. We're going to be talking about all that and so much more on this episode. My name is Chris, and joining me is my good friend, Dominic Jones.
Yes, hello, Chris. Hello, Ben. Hello, everybody. I'm very excited to be reporting live, as you can all see behind me, from Galactic Star Cruiser. I'm aboard. I'm aboard the Halcyon. Yeah, I'm on the adventure. I'm having a good time. No, okay. Obviously, this is a virtual background, not actually on Galactic Star Cruiser. I kind of felt like there were some times this week where I kind of felt like, are we the only ones that didn't get to go on this thing? Because they had some like event for influencers and podcasters and YouTubers and that sort of thing. And I saw some people that we recognized, saw some people didn't recognize that were all there. And I'm like, man, I'm jealous. I want to be there. I would love to go. But I'm looking forward to talking a little bit about Galactic Star Cruiser tonight. Some of the things that we may have learned from the people that have gone already. But boy, got to start saving up because the question that has dominated the whole conversation around it and still really hasn't been answered and still can't really be answered because it's a personal decision is it worth it? And I've seen enough that I feel confident that I want to do it, but I could understand why other people are like, not for me. So we can get into that a little bit later, but lots to talk about. Hopefully some good news about Rogue Squadron for a change, which we haven't had in a while. So it's going to be a great show.
Yeah, that's right. It's definitely like that once in a lifetime experience that you know you got to kind of save up for and then do it as like a big thing, like 25th wedding anniversary, 50th birthday, like your kids are graduating from Harvard, like something like that.
So maybe we can go for our retirement parties and like.
Let's just blow our whole retirement savings on Galactic Star Cruiser.
Yeah, like 40 years from now.
Yeah, then forget Green Acres. That's where we're all going.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right by the villages, so it makes sense. Also joining us, it's Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
How's it going, everybody? Yeah, I think I've done the math. I've done the research. I figure if I keep saving my money at this rate right now, I can successfully get to Galaxy's Edge and get to Galactic Star Cruiser and die there. I'll just get there. Like, oh, yes, I finally made it. I'm 94 years old. And I get to, and they're just going to find, somebody died in the room and it's going to be me. And I'll have died happy. I'll have died where I was, where I wanted to. So it's going to be great.
It's going to be what? It's like the classic setup for like every sitcom has done this where like people are in a hotel and somebody dies in the hotel and they just died of natural causes. There wasn't a murder, but whoever's the hotel manager, like Faulty Towers did this, Schitt's Creek did this, of where it's like whoever's running the hotel is like, we don't want people to know somebody died in here. We don't want anybody to find out. So we'll do it aboard Galactic Star Cruiser and there'll be this whole thing of trying to get Ben out of there. But really, it should be, as you said, a positive story for Disney.
It's going to turn into Weekend at Bernie's real quick.
All I'm thinking about is all those urban legends about people like bringing the urns to Disneyland, and I'm just like, I don't think I'd want to be the custodian at this place.
Yeah, one of you is going to have to spread my ashes inside Galactic Star Cruiser.
We'll do it during the concert, because there's like a concert portion of this, and when there's like a big dramatic moment, one of the songs, we'll just throw them all up in the air, and it'll just look like it's part of the pyrotechnics display, and hopefully nobody will notice.
This is what Ben wanted.
I mean, with all the Star Wars. With all the Star Wars lettuce and Star Wars bananas and Star Wars apples, I wonder if Folgers ever did something with Star Wars. Comment if you got that reference.
I feel like we've got some good plans, though. But I also feel like any chance we ever got of going to Galactic Star Cruiser has just, Disney has now seen this clip and they're like, no.
They were about to lick the envelope on the tickets that they were mailing to us. And they're like, I'm going to watch this podcast while I'm looking at all these envelopes. And, oh, wait, no, not this one. This one. No, we're going to send this one to Germany instead. Like,
yeah, Bob in his office, like, what? They said what? They're going to do what?
They'll have a whole meeting of the Council of the Bobs at Disney where they just make all their decisions. Oh, no, we can't send those guys. No. How many Bobs in favor? Say all in favor, say Bob. Bob.
This is Bob.
Oh my gosh.
Good plans. Good planning session, guys. Yeah. We're all set.
I'm excited.
All right, plug some stuff and then we can get into some real news.
All right. We are on YouTube. So if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe. Also give us a thumbs up over there as well. And if you're listening on any podcast apps, please leave us a review, especially on Apple Podcasts, especially if you're outside the American/North American store. I forget, is it American or North American?
It's American.
Yeah. Okay, so if you're in the Canadian store or the Mexican store or any other store, definitely do that. It'd be cool. You could be the first person from your country to review the show, which would be really, really awesome. We've got a Patreon over at patreon.com/theswu. And that is how you can support us financially and where you can find our merch. And that's also where any pledge, as little as $1 a month, will get you our bonus content that we put up there every week. We had a pretty lengthy bonus show this week. We started on time and we went for a while. So a lot of content for you guys over at patreon.com/theswu. And make sure also to check out all the other shows on the Culture Slate Network, especially the Star Wars Focus show, Star Wars Culture and Ion Canon. And Chatter Squadron is back as well. Got to add that to the banner for next week. They've been doing some really fun stuff over on their channel. So make sure you subscribe to Tyler and Loden over there at Chatter Squadron. And if you want to send us listener feedback, almost forgot, swunderworld@gmail.com. All right.
Yeah, and we've actually already gotten a couple of new emails for the next time we do a listener feedback.
That Loden
episode.
thing, I got you.
All right, so we begin this week in the news with some sad news. We found out this week that Alan Ladd Jr., who was the president of 20th Century Fox and the person who really made sure that Star Wars could happen back in 76 and 77, passed away this week at the age of 84. George Lucas, in a statement to StarWars.com, said, Alan Ladd Jr. loved film and believed in filmmakers. He was one of the few executives who bet on the person rather than the project. Without Laddie, there would be no Star Wars. He didn't understand what Star Wars was about, but he believed in me and supported my vision. Quiet and thoughtful, he had an independent spirit that gave so many storytellers a chance. He stood up to the studios and went with his gut instinct. Laddie took a great personal and professional risk on Star Wars and on me, and for that, I'll be forever grateful. So, Alan Ladd Jr., if you've watched the documentary, what's it called? Empire of Dreams, which is about the making of Star Wars, the original trilogy, you really get a sense of how important Alan Ladd Jr. was, because Star Wars existed as an idea, that George had and that he was sort of trying to get made. And as George says in that statement, Alan Ladd Jr., he sort of looked at what George presented him when it came to Star Wars and was like, I don't understand any of this, but I see talent. You got talent, kid. And he'd seen American Graffiti, he'd seen THX, and he decided to take a chance on George and on Star Wars. And then as production went on, and we all know the story of how the production on A New Hope went. It was a challenging one. There were a lot of issues. There were delays. They went over budget. The crew didn't like it. The Fox board of executives didn't like it. And Alan Ladd Jr. was kind of the shield between Star Wars and the people that wanted to shut it down, because a lot of people were looking at this crazy little sci-fi movie and going, there is no future in this. We cannot continue to let this happen. We're gonna lose so much money on it. And Laddie was just like, no, we're gonna make this movie. We're gonna let this guy finish his movie. And he was right. That was the proof is in the pudding. And so this guy, he is the reason. He's one of the key reasons that we have Star Wars today. If he hadn't stood up for George and for the film back in the day, who knows what would have happened to it, if it would have been finished, if it would have been released, or if it would have gotten a much smaller release. So the guy lived an incredible life. He worked on so many movies, made so many things happen. But for us as Star Wars fans, we owe him an incredible debt of gratitude for making sure that this movie could happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk about the people who creatively made Star Wars, from George Lucas all the way down to the people holding the boom on set, and there's a lot of commemoration for a lot of those people. And something that sometimes will get overlooked in kind of more creative focused documentaries, and it's great that one sheds light on it, is kind of the business side behind everything. Because for every person that's creative, that wants to make something, there needs to be a business person that can make it economically feasible, that can fund it and manage all of that stuff. And so, everyone involved and the business side of funding and marketing Star Wars, deserves just as much credit and recognition as everybody on the creative side of actually making it. Because just like the people on the creative side, they took a huge risk as well, with their money and their time and putting their companies on the line for that. And, Alan Ladd Jr. is at the top of the list for that, because he was the one that, if Star Wars flopped, probably would have lost his job. I think, it was a time when, 20th Century Fox needed a big hit, and he chose Star Wars to be one of those big swings, and got a grand slam off of it. Could not have been bigger. So it's kind of really incredible that he was able to call that one and put faith in George Lucas. It's just an absolutely incredible story. I wanted to mention in the past on our show, we've had his daughter Amanda on, because she has made a wonderful documentary about her father called Laddie, the Man Behind the Movies. And I just looked it up to see where that's streaming right now. It's over on Hulu is where you can get that. So I would really recommend, in addition to watching Empire of Dreams, I would really recommend watching Laddie, the Man Behind the Movies, because it's a full documentary just about him and his impact, not just on Star Wars, but the rest of the film industry, and his various capacities in his career. So wonderful documentary. So it's called Laddie, and you can find that over on Hulu.
Yeah, I recall a quote. I think I recently saw it where it's kind of Laddie talking about, talking to George, and he's like, George was going on and on about sand people and whatever else, and I didn't have any clue what he was talking about. I just hoped he knew what he was talking about. And clearly, he had so much faith in George to basically stand up to everyone, going and reasonably so, probably going like, wow, this is a train wreck. Why don't you pull the plug on this stupid Star Wars movie? And him having the faith of going like, no, we're not doing that. We're going to let this guy make his movie. And look not just like the impact on Star Wars, helping to make Star Wars happen, but the after effects of what impact Star Wars had on the world. You know, how it was these like person behind the scenes that just like probably most people have never even heard of Alan Ladd Jr. and yet he had this one pivotal role that changed the world.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, most people haven't heard of film executives, right? Like that's not something, we talk a lot about directors and writers and actors and that sort of thing, but we don't talk a lot about the executives. And, that documentary that Chris was mentioning, Laddie, like that gives you a sense of just how impactful Alan Ladd Jr. was, not just on Star Wars, but on the industry as a whole. And, there are some big names in that movie. And they all speak glowingly about this man. So, it's a sad day. It's a sad to lose someone like that. But he leaves behind such an incredible body of work to celebrate his life with. Starting with Star Wars, not even starting with Star Wars, but including Star Wars and beyond. All right, so we'll do a classic difficult transition out of something sad into something interesting, intriguing. Rogue Squadron. Remember that? This was a movie that they announced. It has a director and a release date. The director's Patty Jenkins. The release date is December 22nd, 2023. Well, then we heard after it was announced that maybe it wouldn't happen. Maybe they were having some problems with it, that they weren't going to make that release date. Well, it seems at the very least someone may have forgotten to tell the person who makes the Disney schedule that there are problems, because Disney put out their sort of schedule for theatrical releases through 2028 this week, and the further you get from 2022 and 2023, the less pictures there are. There's untitled Star Wars movie coming out in 2025, and I think that's about it right now. But under the list of movies coming out in 2023, still listed for December 22nd, 2023, is Rogue Squadron. So they seem to still want to get this movie out there. I don't know what to read into this other than to say I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic. I would like to I'd like to see a new Star Wars movie in 2023. But I'm also open to the possibility that Bob in accounting forgot to tell Bob in scheduling to make the change on this piece of paper that went out to the trade magazines.
Well, I mean, do we know the date when it was announced that, like, say, principal photography started on The Force Awakens?
We can find out.
Yeah, because that's what I'm thinking. Because I think the script read through was in like maybe April or May.
Yeah,
I want to say
it was
2013.
Yeah, it was. I think April. April sticks in my brain for some reason, but I'll find some more specific dates in a second.
Yeah, because I want to know what this timeline is. Because obviously, like December 2023 is now less than 2 years away. We're talking about like 21 months.
Principal photography, I'm reading from Wikipedia here.
Mm-hmm.
Principal photography began in Abu Dhabi on May 16th, 2014.
Okay, so that timeline is that could still work if they start the late spring of this year. It's the same amount of time.
Yeah, and other films in the trilogy had different timelines. Like I feel like Last Jedi got started sooner. I'm quickly scanning their Wikipedia pages. Okay, Last Jedi was weird because it had like 3 days of principal photography in September of 2015 before Force Awakens had even come out, and then took 3 months because they needed to shoot on Skellig Michael. But then they didn't start shooting again until February of 2016. So, a bit of a longer lead time for that movie, and then let me see let me get to the Rise of Skywalker. What happened with that movie? That movie I feel like was had the most condensed.
Yeah, because they had to rewrite the whole thing.
Yeah. Filming. Yeah. Principal photography began on August 1st, 2018.
Dang, that was rushed.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it wrapped on February 15th, 2019. And then there were reshoots that took place in July of 2019. And even more that took place in late September and mid-October.
Wow, right before.
Really going down to the wire on that movie.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's doable. And the other thing to remember is Solo exists, and they fired Lord and Miller in the summer, and then Ron Howard came in. It took over. Let's say in June they fired the directors, and Ron Howard I think was announced just a little bit later, so either late June, early July, and so. They just kept filming, and they've basically refilmed the whole movie in less than a year to get it out for May, which was quite an accomplishment on the one hand, but also kind of shocking.
At this point, based on everything I'm hearing right now, I kind of hope Rogue Squadron doesn't come out in 2023.
Well, okay,
I kind of want them to just take their time. Like, don't rush this thing.
Rogue One began principal photography in August of 2015. So, just because that happened with the other one, The Rise of Skywalker, doesn't necessarily mean that it's a problem. And remember, Rogue One went through extensive reshoots as well. Tony Gilroy came in and saved the day.
And we've had these discussions before. Like, we just got done talking about Alan Ladd Jr., the guy that held back the forces of the studio, saying we need to cut this movie because the production's a train wreck. That was the original Star Wars, by the way. So like a movie having a troubled production does not mean it's going to be good or bad. There's plenty of movies that have had horror stories of productions. But I still I look back and, I just don't want them rushing it. I don't want them rushing it. And it doesn't feel like I don't know, like maybe they've already cast it. Maybe it's all ready to go, scripted, whatever else. But, I still I want them to take their time with this.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they've been working on this movie for quite some time. It was announced in December of 2020. So presumably, some story work. They must have had some kind of, treatment for the story done before that, I would think. And then after that, it's been, over a year since then. And those reports about it having problems, correct me if I'm wrong, that was in the summer or the spring. It's been a while since we've heard anything about it. It's been a long time. So I'm open to the idea that they were able to sort out some of the issues that they were working through. One of the things was that Patty Jenkins, had probably one of the most jam-packed schedules in Hollywood, doing Wonder Woman, and she was going to do a movie, a Cleopatra movie, which she then dropped out of as director, allegedly to focus more on Wonder Woman and Rogue Squadron. So it seems to me that it's possible. It's possible that they've sorted things out, and whatever it was that was the hang up, they went, all right, we figured it out. Let's get going on this thing. Let's get casting, because presumably the latest they could start by would be August. That, based on their previous track record, that seems to be sort of the cutoff time for when they want to be ready to go. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm hopeful that this is something, but I'm also, like I said, I'm open to the possibility that someone just messed up and used an old version of the schedule and forgot to make this change.
I don't know. I think the more that I think about it, when we first started talking about it, I was like, oh man, that's so soon. That they must have screwed up. But then talking about all the other schedules for all the other films and how a lot of them had way more condensed schedules than this. That now I'm kind of more convinced that this is accurate and that Disney wouldn't screw up like this. So, yeah, I think this is a thing. Like, I think they're keeping a lot of information really close to the chest about future Star Wars projects, because there's been so many situations where things have gotten announced and then they haven't happened, or major things have changed about them. And I think they're just really careful right now about that. So I understand why, there'd be all this stuff going on and we'd end up with kind of almost like a soft announcement of something that actually should be pretty major, because, while it's slated for that time, probably they don't want to make a big fanfare of, oh, this is still happening, this is at this time, and here's some more announcements about it, like here's the cast, because between now and then something could change again, and that wouldn't be the best PR to keep yanking people around like that.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking, I've gotten and looked at the story about the delay, which was more recent than I thought it was. I thought it was summer of last year. It was actually November 8th. Like, it was actually a lot more happened more between recent.
November and now.
Yeah.
A lot has happened.
I'm sorry, I can't keep time straight in my head anymore.
I thought it was longer ago too, because I can barely remember it.
Yeah, so this is from the Hollywood Reporter. They're the ones that broke this story all the way back in November of 2021. This is what they say. However, sources say the producers and filmmaking team came to the realization that Jenkins's schedule and other commitments wouldn't allow for the window needed to make the movie in 2022. They say earlier in the article that they had the goal of starting production in 2022 and would have needed to have gone into pre-production by the end of 2021. So it says, thus, Rogue Squadron has been taken off the production schedule. The hope is that once Jenkins fulfills her previous commitments, she'll be able to return to the project. So now that she took Cleopatra off her other schedule, right? Like, she's not worried about that anymore. Yeah, maybe they sort of, they looked at things and went, okay, maybe we can make it work if we hurry up, if we hurry this one aspect, or, we put more resources into it. There's a thing, I remember hearing somebody say this about filmmaking one time, that you want to have a movie that's done on time, on budget, and with no issues in the production, and you get to pick two of those things.
Yeah.
and so I think they may be, this being Disney and this being, the grand return to cinema for Star Wars, maybe they were willing to just sort of go, all right, we'll pay to rush the post-production on this, because we can always hire another VFX house. We can always hire another animation studio to help us get those X-Wings going through space as perfectly as we want them. So if we have to wait until August or September even to start filming this thing, we can. And maybe they take advantage of some of the stuff they've done on Mandalorian. Maybe this becomes one of the first movies that's shot in the volume. Maybe they use that technology.
That's fascinating.
I don't know.
I would imagine. I can't imagine them not using that technology, considering I've already heard it using on other films that are not Star Wars. So, like,
yeah,
yeah. So, we'll see. We'll see where we wind up with this thing, but it's good. It's hopeful. It's good to have a hopeful sign about a Star Wars project for a change, because usually it's bad news, even though officially this never changed, right? Like, we never got that announcement from Disney and Lucasfilm saying, oh, guess what, we're stopping this. This has always been the official plan. But
yeah, Disney is not obligated to come out and say this is still happening, just like they aren't obligated to say anything about the Rian Johnson trilogy. Technically, it's still happening.
Yeah, that was never canceled.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll continue to watch the situation with Rogue Squadron with great interest.
Had my last words in my dying bed in Galactic Star Cruiser will be, where's that Ryan Johnson trilogy, Disney? I'm telling you, it's coming out.
Oh my gosh, that would be funny. We have a new feature on YouTube.
Yay!
We've got super chats now, so there's another way for you to financially support us beyond Patreon.
And this is definitely get your comment read on the show.
Yeah, I think, I mean, we haven't talked about how we're going to handle it, but at least for this show, if anyone does any super chats, we'll bring them up between the stories.
Mm-hmm.
Or during the story if it's super relevant to the story.
Yeah, absolutely. So super chat away. That's how we'll get to actually go to Galactic Star Cruiser.
Yes. $2 at a time. We just need 10,000 people.
Every little bit. All right, let's keep going and let's talk a little bit more about Galactic Star Cruiser, because as we said, there was the big event this past weekend, and to celebrate the launch of Galactic Star Cruiser, a new video has been released featuring a familiar greatest pilot in the galaxy.
It feels a little bit strange, like where are the cameras? Are we shooting a scene here? Because it feels totally authentic. I think Poe Dameron would spend a lot of time in this room. I mean, this is amazing. It's all like Star Wars lounge music. I just keep thinking like a Twi'leks just singing this, We have that. Yeah, of course you do, man. Just the concept itself it's just really wild. I don't think anything like that's ever been done before. Whoa. I'm out of ammo. Yeah, baby, still got it. You can be with a group of people and have a completely different experience and come out the other end and have all these tales to tell about what happened. Oh. It's going to be a fully immersive experience.
I forgot how much fun Oscar Isaac is. And just before we continue with that, to prove that we're true to our word, Joel Davis coming in with the first super chat. Joel says, to add to the Rogue Squadron topic, Jordan Mason of Cinelinx said that Lucasfilm recently took out trademarks for Rogue Squadron again.
Ooh, okay.
I mean,
those are always a really good indication, I think.
Yeah.
We've talked about things like, hey, trademarks for this, and then it's announced.
Yeah. I mean,
I feel like we heard about Visions through something like that first.
Yeah, and Rebels and things like that came out first in that format. So yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. They're starting to add up. It's starting to look like, this movie might have more life than we thought it did a couple months back.
And knowing Lucasfilm, tomorrow they could just show it, just drop a picture of Patty Jenkins and the entire cast on set. Photography starts now. Where did that come from?
Yeah. Well, we'll know that the movie is back on when that first Hollywood Reporter Variety Deadline story about so-and-so in final talks for Rogue Squadron, for lead Rogue Squadron role. Yeah. That's when I think that'll be the sign to look for to know for sure that this thing is back on. All right. Well, thank you for that, Joel, and thank you for the super chat, buddy. Appreciate it. Sticking with Rogue Squadron a little bit and Galactic Star Cruiser. Oscar Isaac famously said after The Rise of Skywalker, he would only ever make another Star Wars movie if he needed a new house. And here he is in a new promo for Galactic Star Cruiser. Does Poe Dameron need a new house? Does Oscar Isaac need a new house? And I think there's been talk that Rogue Squadron could take place post sequel trilogy, and if you were doing a story about X-wing pilots post sequel trilogy, or even during the sequel trilogy, or even right before the sequel trilogy, I mean, Poe Dameron feels like a guy you want to have in there. So I think it's time for another round of our favorite game, Something There or Make a Relax. Something There or Make a Relax. This is, of course, the game that we stole from Tim and Sid, where we take a story that we could read a lot into, or we could just say it's nothing. So if you think it's nothing, you make a relax. But if you think we should read into it, you say there's something there. Ben Hart, since this game always seems to torture you most.
Yeah.
Something there or make her relax. Is Oscar Isaac doing more for Star Wars than just a Galactic Star Cruiser promo?
No, this is make her relax. This is absolutely 100%. Like, they're not going to get him back that quick. There's way different things than, okay, Oscar, you're at Disneyland. Come over here and shoot this video for us, and maybe you'll get a check for this in the mail. Versus like, hey, here's sign your life away for another Star Wars movie after you just got done making an entire trilogy. I think we're gonna have to wait a little longer to get Oscar back, based on what he's saying, or maybe we just caught him on a bad day. Maybe he was just like really angry for some reason. I know those marathon interviews, press junkets can be very stressful, so like maybe we just caught him on a bad day. But I think there was several interviews in a row where he was like, you could get the idea that he was done for a while. So as much as I love this, as much as I love seeing Oscar's enthusiasm over this, and like he seemed to be really enjoying it, I don't think he's talking about like recent experience on Star Wars set. He's talking about Rise of Skywalker or whatever.
All right. So make her relax from Ben. Chris, something there or make her relax?
Well, okay. So the mouse knows that the guy would need a new house for this. So they kind of figure out a way to give him an offer that he can't refuse. And so they say, hey, Oscar, we know that you'd require a new house to be in Star Wars again, and we can't really give you that. But how would you like a nice vacation home in Orlando, Florida that you can go to whenever you want, bring your family to, like your friends, like it's a big party. Come down here and shoot a little promo video, and we'll give you a lifetime boarding pass. And I think maybe that was what happened there, because I would shoot a promo video for Galaxy's Edge, Galactic Star Cruiser and Galaxy's Edge for one night there. I'm sure they offered him a lot more than that.
Yeah. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say make her relax on this one. But when Rogue Squadron comes out on December 12th, 2023, Oscar Isaac will be in it. I think Joel in the chat, again, he called it this is a soft promotion for Moon Knight. Oscar, he's doing a Disney Plus show. They have him presumably built into his contract. There's a certain number of promotional things that he has to do. And maybe they said to him, look, for one of those promotional things, will you come to Galactic Star Cruiser and just do a video for us talking about it? Because you were in Star Wars. This is a Star Wars thing. There's a whole aspect of this that is, shooting down TIE fighters and stuff. That feels like a real Poe Dameron thing. As you see in the video, Oscar is a guy who likes Star Wars. He's a guy who was a fan. He's talking about turning the corner, expecting to see a Twi'lek and stuff. And so I think that's how they made it happen. They said, we'll count this as part of our deal for Moon Knight if you come and do this once for us. Maybe they threw in a little extra cash. Maybe they threw in a 2-night stay at the Disney hotel. Who knows? But I think this is separate from Rogue Squadron. But it wouldn't shock me if there are some conversations going on right now between the Disney people and Oscar Isaac's people saying, hey, that was fun, right? Doing Galactic Star Cruiser, that was fun. Would you be willing to come back for, 2 weeks of filming? You don't have to be the star. You don't have to do extensive stunts. You just got to come in and, give out a mission and be there at the end to welcome our heroes back, sort of thing. Would you be interested in doing that? And, oh, by the way, you're now a legacy actor. You now have, graduated into the next tier of, compensation, more along the lines of what Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford and Ewan McGregor probably are getting these days. So that second house, maybe sure could be nice. This little check we could give you could get you a lot closer to it, if not buy the whole thing. So I think we will see Oscar in the movie, but this is something else. That's
all
what I'm
I know
going
is
with.
you just got to get out of that cabin, Dominic, because Oscar's about to cash in.
Yeah, this is actually.
that.
Oh yeah, no, this is actually Oscar's room. He's any minute now. That door behind me there is going to open, and he's going to come in here and be like, "Get the hell out of here!"
How did you get in here?
Yeah, I'm like, I thought I told you, you don't get to come on the adventure. So. Did either of you have a look at any of the Galactic Star Cruiser stuff that came out this week from any of the influencers and other important people? What did you think? What did you make of what you saw?
I just, again, like you, FOMO. Like I wish I was there. I hope that they do more rounds of promotion for it, and one day I'll get to do that in some capacity or the other. And yeah, it looks like people were really enjoying it. I mean, I think the real test is when the people who like paid money for it give their reviews, because, we know from our experience at, say, the Rise of Skywalker premiere that sometimes when you get let into something, you get a little hyped because of that, and it can kind of add to your excitement about the thing that might not be there in another situation. So I think I want to wait a little bit longer to get kind of more accurate reviews, because again, like we said, do we want to find out if it was? I'm sure the experience is worth it. Like if somebody brings you down there to review it, you're gonna enjoy yourself no matter what, probably. But I want to hear from the people that are dropping, their life savings on it, if it was worth it to that extent, and that's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah. And I think that setting that we saw that this past weekend might have been the best way to experience it, because one, it was free, so no pressure, and two, the people that were there are fans. They're either hardcore Star Wars fans because they're influencers and they're doing Star Wars things, or they're hardcore Disney fans and they're going to buy into the Disney of it all, and so those people are just going to commit to the story where your grumpy middle-aged parents are like, I can't believe I've paid $6,000 for this, maybe are not gonna want to go on a secret mission because some out of work actor told them that you need you to go to the engine room and guard this luggage. Some people might have a hard time buying into that. But Ben, what did you think of what you saw?
No, I did catch a bit of the tweets and videos, stuff like that, pictures. I mean, it looks amazing, and it was great to see some like legitimate reactions, and I think some people were very fair in their assessment. They were like, oh yeah, this is amazing, like it is, but also some fair complaints too, I think, about it too. So I think that was good to see. I am like you guys, like I'm kind of interested, like, okay, they're still going to be testing this. It's still going to be, there's going to be a lot on the line in regards to like ironing out the details and making sure it works, because this version of Galactic Star Cruiser, I would imagine, is not going to be the same 6 months from now. They're going to be making changes and they're learning about the whole experience. And just getting the average Joe, average person's point of view, not the uber Star Wars fan, but just the normal person of like going in there. They saw Star Wars once. Now they're in Star Wars. Like, what is that experience like?
I'm gonna feel bad for the cast members walking around having somebody go, "Hey, where's Han Solo? Why isn't Han Solo in this thing? Give me Han Solo. I don't want. I'm not interested in this Rhodian singer that you got. I want Han Solo." I don't know why they're from. I don't know where that accent's from, to be perfectly honest.
Galaxy's Edge.
Galaxy's Edge. That is the Batu. That's the Batu accent.
Batu.
Joel Davis coming through with another sequel, with another super chat, saying the fact that Disney is putting the sequel era in their flagship hotel and theme park tells me that they are long-term investing in this era. I mean, a kid is going to remember getting their picture with Rey. Yeah, I think it's twofold. I think part of it is they planned to do this before the sequels had all come out and before there was a chance for there to be some of the reaction that there was, but also, yeah, I the way that people now talk about the prequels is how a lot of people are going to talk about the sequels down the line. So,
I think Joel's angling for a boarding pass when Star Wars Underworld crew goes to the Galactic Star Cruiser. Thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Joel.
I gotta say, if you want to make your, I hate making myself feel old, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So let's say you're someone who's like our age when we started podcasting, like 18. Think about how old that person was when The Force Awakens came out. 10 or 11. 10 or 11. Just like we were when we started watching the prequels. That's pretty nuts.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Disney
Sorry, Ben.
Disney knows what they're doing here. Like as much as you will go on the internet and see people complaining and see people acting out, they know that this is prime age, that they're focusing on the sequel era because the majority of kids nowadays, they recognize those films, and when they go there, they don't really want to see that old guy Han Solo or Princess Leia. They want to see Rey. They want to see Chewie. They want to see Finn. Even I don't know. Maybe there'll be Poe too. That'd be great. And Kylo Ren. Like that's the characters that they identify with, and I think that's going to stick with them. And that's the ultimate thing. Is like we go there, and we're picking it apart. We're uber Star Wars fans. We're like, oh, what is this? And what is that? We're getting this reference and that reference. The average person's going to go there. Adult's going to go there. Like, oh, what is all this fake stuff? I'm going to look for the seams. A kid's going to go there and they're going to buy into that 100%. Imagine being a 10-year-old going to this thing. It's going to blow their minds.
Yeah, that was the thing that was consistent. I found across all of the reporting from this thing is there were two main things. One was, you have to decide for yourself if the cost is worth it, and the other thing is, you get out of Galactic Star Cruiser what you put into it. So if you go to it and are like, I don't buy any of this, I'm not interested. Then you're going to have a bad time. You're going to come away from that experience going, I wasted $6,000. That was a $500 experience at best. But if you go there and you're like, I'm here to play along, what can I do? What missions can I go on? How does this work? Then you're probably going to have a good time, and you're going to want to have fun. And that was what I was watching all of the stuff that came out of this weekend to see was what is there, like what is the interactivity actually like? Because I had no doubt that the sort of the dinner theater aspect of it was going to be incredible. The characters, what the characters acting out scenes, the stuff with the, there's the pop star that they have there is going to be singing. I'm sure that's going to be a lot of fun. The food's going to be great. I saw a little clip of the Rey and Kylo Ren scene and I got chills. Like it was so cool. Like I genuinely thought it was so good. So there's those things like those things were obviously going to be fantastic, but how was the interactivity going to be? Because that was the one area of Galaxy's Edge that I felt like they oversold a little bit. Like, you get there and you think like, oh yeah, they're gonna, go around and, talk to the characters and stuff. And really, there's not a lot of that to be done. You can seek it out if you want. We've talked about how, Chris, you and I, we did a training mission with Rey where we practiced hiding from the First Order, with Chewie standing in for the First Order and chased us around the Resistance area. I talked about how during my last visit there, I showed the First Order troopers my tattoo, and they got all like crazy about it. They're like, "Oh my God, the Resistance operative, get him!" Like that stuff is there if you want it. But it's not like you're not going to go up to the staff at Galaxy's Edge and be like, "So, how do you feel about this Snoke guy? Let's discuss." And they're not going to give you like things to do, that sort of thing. And what I really liked from what I saw was that there seemed to be more interactivity. Like, part of it was, part of it was done on your phone. So, there were certain limits to it, but there was that sort of choose your own adventure aspect to it that was done on your phone. But then what you did on your phone, you could then go and find those people, those characters, and actually talk to them, and they would continue the story that began on your device. And I noticed that like some of the games and stuff that you do on your phone, the data pad, has actually stuff that you could have been doing in Galaxy's Edge this whole time. Like I remember going on one of my first trips and you could download the app, and there were like these little puzzle games that you could do that would, control aspects of Galaxy's Edge, but were really kind of pointless and not that interesting. In this, it looks like those sort of things actually do matter. And then once you get to Galaxy's Edge from Galactic Star Cruiser, the stuff that you do in Galaxy's Edge is actually more, it actually has more meaning now that you're part of this larger story. So I quite liked what I saw. I thought it was, I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty great. To go back to Joel's comment about, a kid is going to remember getting their picture with Rey. That time when we were being chased by Chewie around Galaxy's Edge, Chris, do you remember the little girl that was also doing the experience with us?
Yeah.
She is like the perfect person to go to Galactic Star Cruiser, because she bought into this thing right away and hardcore, because we were just, running around this like plant that they have in the middle of the park. And, all of the adults, quote unquote, in the training session, quote unquote, we're doing sort of like a sneaky walk where like your knees are crouched and you're got your arms out and you're like sort of pretending like you're looking around. This little girl, Rey, says to her, "All right, we have to practice hiding from the First Order. Follow me." And as soon as this little girl saw Chewbacca, she didn't do a crouch sneak walk. She dove into a bush. She's like, "I need to get it. I cannot be found. I'm getting into this bush." And Rey was like, youngling, please get out of the plants. Please get out of the plants. Like it was like, that is the attitude you need to go into this thing with. And I just hope that when we go, we can have that experience. Cause that's the other thing. Like one of the things that people have said is like, if you're introverted, this experience might be a little difficult to get into because it does require talking to strangers, and that can be stressful. And not to speak in stereotypes, but a lot of Star Wars fans, we're kind of introverted. We're a little introverted, and this was something that so I think you just have to find whatever it takes to get past your inhibitions, and that's why, like personally, I want the three of us to go. Like when I go, I want to go with you two, because I feel like the three of us together will be able to find the right balance of like, let's commit to the story. And, we've been talking about Star Wars together every week for 10 years. We'll be able to forget about reality and live in the fantasy, judgment free, for each other for 2 days. So, but then, again, to take that example of, just like a regular family where, maybe the parents or one of the siblings, isn't like super into Star Wars, that could kind of put a damper on it for other members of the family who want to commit but don't have the necessary level of extrovertedness to do it without having someone to come along to be part of the adventure with them. So my plea to any extroverts going to this thing is to seek out the introverts and include us in your in your schemes.
Drag us by the ear.
So yeah. Anyways, I hope we'll get that chance to go someday, all of us. But we'll see. Until then, we'll have to live through the YouTube videos that exist. All right, let's talk about a little bit of Star Wars casting news. This is kind of interesting. This is out there, and when I'm looking for Star Wars casting news, there's only one source that I turn to, and that is, of course, Star Wars Underworld senior casting correspondent TV's Rob Lowe. So Rob Lowe does a podcast called Parks and Recollection, which is where he and his co-host Alan Yang look back on the TV show Parks and Recreation, which Rob was on and Alan wrote for. And they just go through every episode. They basically do what we do for Mandalorian, but looking back on it and like professionally. And they also like were there. So they have, genuine stories from that sort of thing. And during the most recent episode, they had Jim O'Hare on, who played Jerry on Parks and Rec. And at the end of the episode, Jim said something kind of interesting, which led to Rob Lowe potentially making an interesting reveal about what where we might be seeing Jim O'Hare next. So take a listen to this.
This was so much fun, you guys.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add or plug? We're here.
Oh, I'm out there doing a bunch of. Oh shoot! I don't know if I'm allowed to say where I am. Well, I could say a state I'm in.
You can
right?
say a state. Yes.
Yeah. What are you held hostage right now?
I'm gonna say New Mexico. I don't know.
Oh wow!
And I know this. I know that because I won't say it either, Jim. I know what you're working on, and it sounds it rhymes with the new installment of Bar Oars.
Bar Oars.
I was like, Jim, are you the new Iron Man? But I guess you're something else.
So,
wow.
Bar Oars, says Rob Lowe. This says star of such acclaimed television as Parks and Recreation and The West Wing. George, to make a little nod to George in the chat, I literally can't believe he said that. So Jim O'Hare potentially being in Star Wars, which they're filming. The one thing that they're filming right now is Mandalorian, and I feel like Jim would fit in with the sort of rotating cast of like comedians and comic actors that have shown up in that show and its spinoffs for he would just fit in with that lineup that we've seen that Jon Favreau has gone out to hire. So I like that. I'm on board with that. I thought Jerry was always one of my favorite parts of Parks and Rec. Like I thought he was so funny. Although I will say, just to make something clear, The Office is better than Parks and Rec. We just got to make that clear. Just got to make that clear. I know there's the debate between the Parks and Rec fans and the Office fans. There's no debate on this show. I don't know, unless Ben wants to weigh in here, because Chris, you and I have made our stance clear.
I've only seen Parks and Rec. So.
Okay. So you'll have to take up the flag for Parks and Rec for now.
Eventually, I'll get back to you in like 5 years, and I'll let you know my opinion.
Yeah. But there's something else that's interesting about this, and we'll get to that in a second. But first, Ben, since you have seen Parks and Rec, so Jim is, Jerry is. What do you think of this potential casting?
Oh, it sounds perfect. When you said like Mandalorian, like that makes total sense. Like they would absolutely pick someone like him to. And I don't know what role he could be. Like literally anything. Like we've had so many different like small roles and big roles. I didn't expect Amy Sedaris to be like basically become the Nick Fury of the Mandoverse, but here we are. So like I hope he gets to be in more than one episode, but. Even if we get him for one episode, that's great because I think they've already got a storied past of like grabbing these really, I don't say obscure, but like actors you wouldn't necessarily expect to see in Star Wars, putting them in Star Wars. Exactly, another example. So like, hey, I'm all for this.
Yeah, Chris, have you watched much of Parks and Rec?
I just watched the first season, and because it was not as good as The Office, so I'm like, I'm just gonna watch The Office for the third time. But I can't remember his character super well. I don't know if he came in early in the show or not.
He's one of those characters like this. This seems to happen on all of those like Office adjacent shows where there's characters who are sort of in the background and they're originally meant to just be kind of like recurring characters, but as the series goes on, they become mainstays. Like basically, most characters on The Office were kind of that, right? Like beyond your Jim and Pam's and that sort of thing. Yeah,
like Kelly, starting off as kind of a background character and then becoming more
Creed.
Oh, I love Creed.
People like that.
www.creed's thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just blogging about Star Wars now and leaking all the cast lists of Mando season 3.
Yeah. Now, Parks and Rec would be Jim would be the second Parks and Rec star to appear in The Mandalorian after Eugene Cordero, who showed up in season 1. Although he's definitely he may have been on Parks and Rec, but to me he's a good place actor for his role as Pillboy, because that guy's a legend. But the other thing is, I keep wanting to say Jerry. Jim says that he's filming in New Mexico.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's not the volume.
That's not the volume. Yeah, they've done a little bit of location filming for Mandalorian, right? For season 2, they filmed the Boba Fett episode. They left their usual filming locations and they went out to somewhere in California to film that scene.
They just went an hour up the road.
Yeah. But they could, maybe for season 3, they're expanding what they do. They're going to film a little further away. I mean, New Mexico, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm no expert on American geography, but it's not that far away from California.
Yeah, you could get there in a day's drive. I think it's maybe like 8 or 10 hours, something like that. So, it's once you got to drive across all of the state of Arizona to get to New Mexico. There's one state between the two.
Okay. So conceivably they could go out there without too much trouble, film for a couple of weeks and come on back.
Oh yeah, you could drive that. You wouldn't need to put the equipment on a plane or a boat or anything.
And a lot of interesting scenery in that thing. I mean, obviously you're like, oh, it's all desert, but no, it's not. There's a lot of interesting rock formations and stuff like that I would be interested. Like, okay, what kind of planet could that be? Something new and interesting we haven't seen before, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm excited about, because that was the one thing. While I thought it was cool that they had the outside scenes in that episode of The Mandalorian that Robert Rodriguez directed, I was kind of disappointed. Where I'm like, yeah, this is my backyard. Like, I want to see something a little bit more different and alien-like than my backyard.
Well, even if they're just filming in your backyard, which if they're filming in your backyard, you should be selling like tours of like, yeah, come see where they filmed The Mandalorian. But I love the volume as a filmmaking tool. Like, I think it's really incredible what they've accomplished. But as soon as they actually went to a location for Mandalorian, I'm like, oh, this is way better. This is like a whole other level. This is all of a sudden, as great as the volume is, it started to feel a little bit restrictive and feel a little bit limited. And there's some times when they don't do a really good job at hiding the volume. Right, like there were some shot. There's a shot in Book of Boba where Fennec and Boba are sitting around a campfire, and I'm like, if you go a foot and a half behind them, there's a wall. That is a wall behind them with a picture of the desert on it. So the volume is obviously incredible, but I would. I like that they're going out on location a little bit more. There is, as much as we make fun of that guy in the Force Awakens documentary, there is something tangible. There's something great about, going out to the real desert, the actual desert. Like there is something tangible about it. And, real sets and practical effects are kind of funny to joke about, but they do make a difference.
They just gotta watch out for a guy running around in his underwear in the desert, screaming about cooking spice.
And it got me thinking, has Star Wars ever filmed in New Mexico before? Because it has filmed in quite a few American states and many countries.
There was a rumor about that many years ago.
I'm getting to that. To that. Star Wars Newsnet, September 18th, 2013. Star Wars Episode 7 to be filmed in New Mexico? ? And I don't think this panned out, but there's like a local news report about it. It's a whole big thing. They thought this was happening. This is Star Wars Episode 7. Not even The Force Awakens. It's Episode 7.
Yeah.
Back in those days.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye out what's going on over there. Some people have also noticed Bryce Dallas Howard posted on her Instagram this week for her birthday, and it looked to be on a set that seemed kind of desert-like. So, perhaps something Star Wars related going on there. Maybe Yeah, there's New Mexico. New Mexico. I've seen enough of Breaking Bad to confidently say that there's deserts in New Mexico. So there's maybe there's something going on out there.
Desert planets in Star Wars. So,
yeah. If you're out in New Mexico, go around and have a look, see what's happening. You might wind up like some of those small towns in England, where they're suddenly like, oh, look at that, Andor's filming over there. Let's go have a look at this new Star Wars. I don't know what that accent is either.
Calling all people with drones in Albuquerque.
Yeah. So there you go. Also, I'll just say, if Rob Lowe ever wants to show up in Star Wars, I'm on board.
I feel like he's next. He's got to be next, right?
I'm on board. Like, he would have to be playing like some kind of New Republic government person just to complete the trifecta of West Wing, Parks and Rec, and now something in Star Wars.
No, I've got the perfect role. Dash Rendar.
Oh, there we go.
Give him the shoulder pads. He's perfect.
I am literally better than Han Solo. I've been watching The West Wing a lot lately, so I have Rob Lowe's voice in my head, and like I want to just sit here and just talk like Rob Lowe for the rest of the show.
Oh, man.
All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Next up, let's talk a little bit about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's a name not heard in a long time. A long time. Well, actually, we hear that name a lot these days because the show is coming out soon. And, the question that people ask the most is, when are we going to get the trailer? Where's the trailer? When is the marketing going to begin for this thing? People everywhere, just, all around the globe going, oh, where's the marketing? Where's the trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi? Waiting for it. I don't know what that accent is either.
I wonder what it was.
But now we've got this one. We got this here from our buddies over at the Convor Call. Noticed this that the Obi-Wan Kenobi show has got official social media accounts. It's got an Instagram account and a Twitter account, and they are unsurprisingly at Obi-Wan Kenobi.
And they're private.
Yeah, they're currently set to private. The tweets are protected. So we don't know we don't know when they're going to go live or anything like that. But usually this means that something is going to happen soon. This is generally something they do, when a trailer or a clip or something is imminent. So I'm going to say 50-50 on next week. Let's say 50-50. Because
that's the prediction.
Look, I don't know. I'm not pretending like I know anything. This is just me guessing.
50-50, that's super risky.
I'm looking for just bragging rights if anything should happen. But I think they made those accounts for a reason. Something is going to drop, and there's no rhyme or reason to Star Wars marketing anymore, other than we've already finished the last thing. Let's get on to the next thing. And there was a big push in the last week and a bit for Galactic Starcruiser, and now that that's open, people have presumably bought their tickets, are going. They don't need to market it anymore. It's time to move on to the next thing.
And the next thing might not be what we expect, according to certain rumors that have been swirling around the internet this week.
Yeah. So I think an Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer might be
what if
the next thing.
Ewan gets an invite to Galactic Starcruiser.
Oh. No, but see, like that would be cool. That would be cool. It'd be great to get a video like they had with Oscar, but with Ewan. But you can't do the premiere of a trailer on Galactic Starcruiser because Galactic Starcruiser is in universe. You can't have Obi-Wan Kenobi show up and be like, "Oh, hello there. Let me show you this trailer for a TV show." Like that can't happen. That can't happen. But you never know.
So you're saying, forget about the Super Bowl, forget about the Daytona 500, and forget about St. Patrick's Day that's coming up in a few weeks. Let's just do it in the Ides of March.
Yeah, basically, that's how they do things. They haven't done things in any way that makes sense in years. It's always just when the last thing ends, that's when you promote the next thing. Like I think about it. The one that sticks out to me is when Bad Batch season 1 ended. It wasn't even a week before they dropped the trailer for Visions. Like it was so immediately after that. To me, it just feels like we're passing through the Galactic Star Cruiser, sort of time. It's time in the sun, and it's only a matter of time before it's time for the next thing. So I think the Kenobi trailer is a real possibility. It's a real possibility.
Or maybe there won't be any trailer. Maybe won't be bringing something days.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it'll be nothing. But who knows? We'll see. Joel, not doing a super chat, but this time just with a regular chat. March 9th is a Disney Investors Day. I just checked the website. Yes, there is a annual meeting of shareholders of the Walt Disney Company on Wednesday, March 9th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific.
Look, I feel like Bob, if you're listening or you're watching, I know you are, you are obligated to tell us beforehand if we're going to get the Obi-Wan trailer. Like if it's happening or not, you have to tell us these things beforehand so we don't get our hopes up or get our hopes up.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a sense of what this event is. Like there isn't much on the website. And what I'm trying to see if it's is it just like a call or is it like some kind of like live stream event? Because if it's a live stream event, why not do the trailer during the event? Why not drop it during the event and then put it on YouTube? If it's a call, maybe they drop the trailer the day before and then say, oh, and by the way, we got this trailer, smashed all the records and got, 200 million views in 60 seconds or whatever they do. I don't know. It is the old school way of marketing.
I mean, that's what those things are for, though. They are specifically designed for, hey, let's brag about what we're doing. Let's brag to the,
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see where we wind up after this week. But I think next sometime in the next I'm gonna say next 10 days. It wouldn't shock me. Also wouldn't shock me if there was nothing. But I like I said, 50-50.
There's no trailer, it just drops on Disney Plus.
Just drops on Disney Plus. And again, another shout out to Joel for another super chat.
Thank you.
Lucasfilm has an old school way of marketing. It's like a weird mix of old school, new school, and just not marketing. just saying, who needs to
We're
market
Star
stuff?
Wars. You're gonna watch it anyway.
Yeah. What's that? We got Solo, a Star Wars story on line 2.
Oh.
All right. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. A little bit of interesting. This feels like a story from a previous decade. We've got a new Blu-ray and DVD set for the Star Wars trilogies that are out there. These are the covers. You got one for the prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and the sequel trilogy. They're going to debut on May 2nd. So they'll hit shelves on May 2nd in Europe. So these seem to be European exclusive for now. Cover art is cool. The movies are great, obviously. But at this point, I've got my Blu-rays. I've got my Disney Plus subscription. As nice as this packaging is, I don't need another one.
I've got my Blu-rays. I've got my subscription.
I don't need any more packaging. Ding, 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 ding.
I'm not buying this in any. There's not. Look, I'm trying to save up for Galaxy's Edge and Galactic Star Cruiser here. I'm not wasting my money on buying movies that I already own for the 5th time. But I will say the packaging looked great. Considering they have produced some not very impressive packaging even recently. I think even the last versions of the trilogies, or I guess technically this is the first like set with like all the trilogies in one.
Is it?
It certainly wasn't that complete saga when we got like 10 years ago.
It was complete at the time.
At the time. But yeah, so this is like, I guess if you're like if you're a kid or something like that, you just don't want to. You're like physical media. This here you go.
Yeah, well, look, you gotta always have them on the shelf for the people that either want it because they want to collect it and they're new to it, or for the people. It's for the people that are new to it. It's if you're just coming into Star Wars and and you go, well, look, I want to own the old movies. I don't want to have to rely on Disney Plus. What if I can't access my Disney Plus one day for some reason, and then I want to watch The Phantom Menace? That's what your Blu-ray is for. So that's why you got to have these things on the shelves. But for me, I was looking at some of the details about it. They do have special features, but they're all special features that are stuff that's come out before that were either on the previous Blu-ray releases or the digital collection releases or on the DVD releases. Like there's nothing really new about this. So if I'm going to be the one buying something like this, you got to have something new for me, whether it's new bonus features or the films in 3D, like the 3D Blu-rays.
Why have they waited so long to do that?
Yeah, they need to get on that. So
I'm just remembered like they did just do like a 4K like Blu-ray box set like movies. But like still like that packaging to me, it's neat, but it's just the Death Star, and like there's nothing really new. There's a nice Ralph McQuarrie book in there. Like it's really like. I think now's the time, like, you need to market these things, like, put something new in there, put a new documentary, or we know you're holding out. Where's those, Rogue One deleted scenes or whatever?
You can't get Rogue One or Solo in any of those box sets.
Where's the actual complete saga? Okay,
yeah.
You're missing
Where's everything?
movies.
Yeah. As much like I love physical media, I love getting the Blu-rays of Star Wars movies and that sort of thing. But I think those days are past us at this point. You got to have these things, these ones on the shelf to catch the stragglers, or for the new fans. But there's no reason at this point to do a big new release. You're better off doing Star Wars Gallery on Disney Plus and releasing something new that way.
I mean, it's been 6 years. For me, like I remember it very vividly. It was around this time of year, a little bit later, I think April 2016. I remember I was driving to Las Vegas that night, and I stopped by a Target somewhere between California and Las Vegas to go pick up the Force Awakens Blu-ray. And I remember I opened the package, I got the digital download thingy out of it and put the code into my phone so that I could have it connected to my YouTube or whatever, and put the disc back in the box, and it's just been taking up space ever since. And that was the last time I bought one of those.
Yeah. So anyways, like we're, like we said, we're not the audience for this new thing. It's not for us. And like, I'm glad it's out there for people that want it and can pick it up that way. But it's, they'll grab my attention when they announce the prequel trilogy in 3D Blu-ray box set. Cause we know those movies exist in 3D. The rest of them, not so much, but those three do.
Or when are we getting The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett on Blu-ray?
Well, I mean, there's, again, that to go back to the thing we were saying a second ago. I think Disney's probably looking at those going, there's no need. There's no need. We can just get everybody to sign up for a Disney Plus account. And honestly, a Blu-ray box set is, 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks. Just get your Disney Plus account for 1 month, watch them all, and then you're good. Like, you have to, even if you just got a Disney Plus account every time you decided you wanted to watch a season of The Mandalorian, unless you know, do that sort of on and off enough times, you know, like 10 times, you're still going to wind up coming out ahead. So anyway, all right, let's keep moving from one thing that is not super necessary in this day and age to another. This is some publishing news. For some reason, Lucasfilm and Marvel have decided what the world of Star Wars comics need right now is an adaptation of season 1 of The Mandalorian. This was announced this week on StarWars.com. Here's the headline: The Mandalorian comic adaptation blasts off in June. And they say in the article, get your Beskar armor on and prepare to relive memorable Star Wars adventure. Starting this June, Marvel's The Mandalorian will be an 8-issue, episode-by-episode adaptation of Disney Plus's series' first season. StarWars.com is thrilled to reveal. The series will be written by Rodney Barnes and illustrated by George Ginty, with several variant covers available for each installment. For fans of The Mandalorian and Star Wars comic book adaptations, it's a chance to experience the events and characters of Season 1 in a whole new way. You can check out the main cover for Chapter 1, which is this, which is actually a very nice cover. Yeah. Very, very nice cover. It's Mando in his Episode 1 armor. Looking pretty good, standing in front of the Razor Crest. I like it. It's a good cover. But so they're doing that. So for eight months, you'll be able to relive The Mandalorian season 1, episode by episode, issue by issue. And my question is why?
Well, they've done this with Star Wars, right? The films.
Yeah, but they do those when the films are coming out. Like, why?
This is very late.
Why now? And honestly, why do this at all?
I can't answer this question because I'm not like a comic book fan. Like, what got me into comic books was the ones that came with the action figures, because I was into action figures and I read those and those are good. And I got a few omnibuses because that's a good way to read them when they're all in a book together. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know, like, as someone who is kind of like a on-screen first type fan of Star Wars, and I would much prefer new stories be released that way over the publishing. I got to assume that there's people that are the other way around that really like the books and really like the comic books and would get really excited for seeing any other stories told in that format, just like we get excited whenever they adapt something from the publishing into film. So that's the only thing I can think of is that, you know, there's some people that, you know, that's their number one way to consume media. And so it makes sense to do that.
It's weird because I am seeing a lot of different things similar to this. I just recently saw in a store this week, I saw the Mandalorian Junior novelization, which is the first 2 seasons as a junior novelization. There's also it's like a comic book, but it's really not. Like, they take the scenes, like screen caps of the episodes, and put them in like comic book form. And like you can get like the first season like that too. I think that's a book that's out there somewhere. This is significantly less exciting than what I thought it was for 3 seconds when I first saw this announcement, which was a new story tie-in comic series. That would have made more sense. But I'm looking for the silver lining in this, that maybe with previous comic series, at least I'm thinking of like the last like comic book adaptation of a Star Wars movie that I've read, I think, was the Revenge of the Sith one that I have still. And it is chock full of deleted scenes and stuff that's not in the movie. I'm hoping this series will be something along the lines that maybe we'll get just a little bit more, because we've got nothing. No deleted scenes, no anything from Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett. So, like, I would love just a little bit extra. Different lines, something that's different that we haven't seen in the show. This is where you do it. I'm not going to go in expecting that, but it would be nice.
Sometimes with the how long some of the walking from one spot to another spot scenes are, and the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, I think, did they use every single scene they shot in this? Like, I kind of have felt that on some episodes, but you know, there's got to be stuff that gets on.
And there's going to be like floor. What the first few panels of this are going to be like just scenery, just like boxes with no dialogue or anything.
I mean, it's art. It's art. That's the thing about comic books is, it's about the art. It's just like having a frame from the show hanging on a wall that someone drew. That's one of the appeals to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I look at this and it's like it's one issue per episode. And I remember the Darth Maul Son of Dathomir comic that adapted the Clone Wars using that same plan of one issue per episode. Those unfinished Clone Wars episodes. And that was not nearly enough time to do 22 minutes, let alone 30, 35, 40 minutes. So I don't know. I don't know what new you can put into this. Like, to me, this isn't a dig at the artists or the writers who are working on this thing, but this feels very cynical to me, of like, oh, we want to capitalize on the success of The Mandalorian, so let's put a Mandalorian thing out there, and we can't do anything new because the Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, their storyline is constantly changing. That's why the novel got canceled, things like that. And so they're like, okay, we have to make some money off of it, so I don't know, do a season 1 adaptation. Like, it just sort of feels like that's the thought process behind it. And I think, I don't know, I look at some of the great storytelling that takes place in Star Wars comics, and I think, couldn't we be putting the money and the pages and all of the time and effort that's going to go into this, retelling of something we already saw, almost 3 years ago, into a new story and a more interesting story. And ideally maybe it would be a tie-in with The Mandalorian, but if that can't happen, maybe you find another way. Like, maybe you could do the backstory of Grief Karga or something, or the death of Cara Dune, or, something else that isn't going to affect the story going forward. So I don't know. I feel like whenever they do a remake, I'm generally not a fan of remakes of stuff. I'd rather you use the time and the energy that you put into remaking something into making something new.
The only thing I can think about with that is that it's about having that cohesive full story in that format. So when you end up with Mandalorian spinoffs, which I'm sure will happen at some point in the comics, maybe after they've concluded the Disney Plus show, and they can go back and fill in some gaps and maybe extend the story out without getting in the way of Favloni. Like, you want to have that ability to go and experience the entire story of the characters in the one medium without having to jump from Disney Plus to the pages.
Yeah. I don't know. I think part of the fun of having a multimedia franchise is going from, here's the comic, here's the show, here's the movie, here's the book, here's the video game. Well, to me, that's a feature, not a bug. But I get where you're coming from. I'm picking up what you're putting
depends
down.
on the person. And again, it's about having something for everybody. And again, I just have to assume that there has to be people out there that would prefer comic books to films and TV shows. Like, they have to exist.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, there are huge comic book fans, and I'm sure and like you said, there certainly are Star Wars fans who are comic book fans first and for the comic version of the franchise. And that's completely fair. But what was I going to say? If this thing comes out and it's chock full of new scenes and new stuff, then you know what? I'll take back what I just said. I'll take it back. But if it's like, here's the story just condensed into 42 pages, I don't know. I'm not really, and then like maybe one new scene every 4 issues. That's not worth the investment of time and resources, in my personal opinion. I'd rather see those go towards a new story. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Joel, I'm starting to worry about your bank account, my friend. With another,
thank you.
Yeah, coming through with another super chat saying, "I'd love novelizations of the original trilogy that are more canon complementary, so references to the prequels and sequels in them." Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Like that could be pretty cool. Honestly, to me, one of the appeals of the original trilogy novelization is how they have no idea about anything else. and like that's genuinely like I think that's really fun to read a book that was written back then and just think, oh, this is like what they were. This is all they knew about Star Wars, and they had to try and fill in the gaps in some ways that they could that they could. But as a result, there wind up being some things that are inaccurate, like Owen being Obi-Wan's brother and things like things like that. But it's also interesting to go back and see the stuff that, you know, has subsequently been brought into the canon. Like there's a whole passage in the Return of the Jedi novelization that I swear you can watch in season 3 of Star Wars Rebels. Like genuinely, that's I think that's part of it. That somebody loved that book, and when they were writing that episode, then they've just decided, I'm going to put that moment in there. But then again, as Joel is saying, it would be fun to kind of rewrite the original trilogy with an eye to everything else, an eye on canon, you might even say, you know, just on everything else that's going on, and trying to weave it all together and, you know, pretend like it's a cohesive story. Anyway, so the Mandalorian comic, I don't know. It's June, they said. Yeah, that's when the first issue will launch. If you want to check this thing out, and let me know, is it worth it, or is it just a shot-for-shot adaptation? Is it the Vince Vaughn version of Psycho? Is it that? Is it that of the Star Wars universe? Because yeah, that movie, genuinely, someone remade Psycho with Vince Vaughn in the you know, the killer role, and it's like literally, there's like, people have counted it. There's like some outrageously low number of shots that are new, and everything else is just like, yeah, we're just doing what Hitchcock did just again.
Well, is that the Stephen King version?
Stephen.
Well, because Stephen King famously hated the original version of, or am I just mixing things up here in my head?
I don't know.
No. Okay, I'm thinking of a different movie. Just ignore me.
Okay.
I know they just reshot West Side Story. That's a whole other thing that's going on.
Yeah, no,
with,
it was
Spielberg, I think.
Yeah. Psycho was based on a novel by somebody else, by Robert Bloch. And interestingly, Hitchcock, when he decided to adapt Psycho, put it into the contract that they couldn't have copies of the book available in bookshelves, so that people couldn't read the ending and find out the twist.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm thinking of The Shining. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Shining.
yeah.
There you go.
That's the one that's been remade because, whole thing.
Yeah. So
this is not a Shining podcast, or, you know.
I did not know that The Shining was remade. Wait.
Stephen King hated The Shining. He remade it himself, for those who don't know that.
Did it? Where is that version? Did it come out? I didn't even know.
He made it. I'm pretty sure I'm not making that up.
What the heck?
Are you?
I never heard of this. I knew that Dr. Sleep came out, which was like a sequel.
Yeah, I forget. I know we have more Star Wars to get to, but I'm kind of more interested in finding out about this right now. So
no, I didn't make this up. There's a video, Screen Rant. Stephen King really hates the Shining movie.
Yeah, but he hates the movie. Yes.
I could have sworn he made his own version.
I
did not make this up. Come on, man.
There's a mini series that was remade. So he wrote.
This is a really stupid, stupid thing.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. Look. Okay, The Shining is a 3-episode horror television miniseries based on the 1977 Stephen King novel of the same name, directed by Mick Garris from King's teleplay. It's the second adaptation of the book after the 1980 film by Stanley Kubrick, and was written and produced by King based on his dissatisfaction with Kubrick's version.
Wow.
There you go. It's real.
No idea.
I had no idea.
I love Kubrick's version, so I'm...
Yeah, I mean, his version's the classic, yeah.
I think everyone agrees that, except Stephen King.
Yeah, well, look, Stephen King wrote the original thing, so he probably has a very specific vision in his head, and if Kubrick's vision doesn't line up, then,
it's the same thing, bringing this back around. not really, but kind of. The author of Mary Poppins hated the movie Mary Poppins, so like, you know, there's a trend here.
And the writer of Star Wars hated The Force Awakens, and they're the same movies. And then it's George in the chat says this is a Star Wars Underworld Daytona. All right, back to Star Wars. After that terrific. Thank you for that tangent, Ben. Thank you. That was glorious.
You're welcome. I totally.
We got one more piece of Star Wars publishing news before we hit the spoilers. We've got the new cover for the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi YA novel, Star Wars Padawan by Kirsten White. And there it is. It's Obi-Wan looking like he does pretty much in The Phantom Menace, with blue eyes just piercing into your soul. The version on our video screen doesn't do it justice. You have to look up the one on you have to see it like on its own. That guy just staring right into your soul. I'm looking forward to this book. It should be pretty interesting, but that's a pretty nice cover. Star Wars Padawan. When does this come out? I forget. Ben,
yeah,
do you remember when this comes out?
This showed up on Amazon.
Book comes out July 26th.
And there's a whole description of it up on Amazon. You just like literally go to Amazon and search Padawan.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think this story tells the Obi-Wan Kenobi Padawan story that we'd all like to see, which is his days with Satine.
Man, they've been dancing around that for like 10 years, haven't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they need to. I'd love to see that story. I feel like I have a suspicion that a certain man with a certain hat has first dibs on that story, and he's really busy these days. And so he's got to get a couple of the other things off his plate before he can get around to it.
Old Hat Man ain't never going to have time to make a novel. Come on.
No, I don't think he's going to do a novel. No. I think he's going to do a miniseries.
He's got a deep fake young Obi-Wan and young Anna Graves.
Kenobi season 2, maybe.
Yeah. And he'll make that version, and then George Lucas will be like, I hate this version. I'm going to remake it on. Like, no, Dave, come on. Okay, get my iPhone out. I'm going to get my iPhone out and shoot it myself with action figures. All right. Let's move on. So we're going to get to the some spoiler stuff now. So if you're not into spoilers, this is the end of the show as far as you're concerned. We're going to get into some things about Kenobi, and these do deal with the plot. So I will say this isn't Han dies in The Force Awakens sort of thing, but this is maybe
Han dies in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
This is maybe Rey and Finn steal the Millennium Falcon and then meet Han Solo afterwards, kind of stuff. This is how I'll describe it. So, if you're not interested in spoilers, you don't want to know anything about the Obi-Wan Kenobi show until it comes out. This is the end of the show. You're out. We'll see you next week. And for everybody else, stick around because we're gonna get into those.
And I'm gonna keep the spoiler alert ticker on. So if y'all want to see whatever we have at the end of the show after this, you can just skip ahead if you're watching later until you see that spoiler alert thing go away.
I don't think we have any, unless you guys are hiding something from me. I don't think we have anything.
I meant just like if you love listening to our outro.
Oh, okay,
like
yeah.
You want to watch that, so it doesn't feel weird to just end here. You know,
star plug to the very end.
I mean, if you need just a little bit of this, just to make it feel like it's the end of the show. Just a little guitar riff. All right, let's go. Let's get into the spoilers. All right, so we're starting with this. Again, this is spoilers. So, Obi-Wan Kenobi, a legendary character's important role in the series. This comes from Star Wars Newsnet. They write, we have learned that Obi-Wan Kenobi will have an important mission in the series that involves none other than Her Highnessness herself, Princess Leia. As we know, the Kenobi series takes place around 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, so this will be a 10-year-old Leia in the series. Additionally, we've learned that the princess managed to get herself into trouble even at this young age. From what we've heard, it appears that the princess is being held prisoner in a cantina-like establishment where we will see a healthy mixture of new and familiar creatures. Of course, Obi-Wan's task will be to rescue the princess. With young Leia's significant involvement in the series, we know that her adopted parents will also play a role. As we all know, Bail Organa adopted Leia after her birth. So actor Jimmy Smits, who played the Senator in the prequels and returned for 2016's Rogue One, will also make an important appearance.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Dang.
Told you. These are spoilers. These are the real deal. These are the
there
real
goes
deal.
the whole Millie Bobby Brown thing. She's too old to play a 10-year-old. Maybe they'll de-age Millie Bobby.
But that is a giant left turn. You know, we're all about, oh yeah, is he gonna stay on Tatooine and protect Luke? Nah, forget about Luke. Or he's protecting Leia, which I mean, I'm open to this. Obviously, this is great and interesting, but not what I expected at all.
Yeah.
George, thanks for the super sticker. I don't know what that is, but we just got it.
Love it.
Thank you.
Love it. Yeah. I remember having a conversation about the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie back in the day. And I remember saying, I was on my whole train of like, Obi-Wan can't leave Tatooine. This whole movie has to take place on Tatooine. And, everybody said, oh, they would never do a whole show set on Tatooine. And we just got Book of Boba Fett, so they would. So it could have happened. But a friend of ours, Ty Nelson, said, "What could get Obi-Wan off Tatooine? There's one thing. It's Princess Leia." So he called it way back in the day, and makes sense. Makes sense.
Oh, he sent a dog. He sent
I just saw that. It didn't show up on our screen, but
yeah.
Okay.
It's not really showing up well. Yeah. Thanks, George. That's cool.
That is cool.
I didn't know you could do that.
That is cool. So Princess Leia back. That makes sense to me. Makes sense that that would be the thing that would get Obi-Wan to leave his sacred mission.
Yeah. Secret mission in outer space. No, that's. I think this is great. This is from everything I've been hearing about this show, and I have a feeling that this rumor here is pretty accurate. I think that it's definitely going to be like smorgasbord of Star Wars. Like it's not going to be like Book of Boba Fett where we're like waiting every week. Like, is someone going to show up? Is Kira going to show up? Like, I don't think it's going to be. It's like that. I think we're going to get it. Bang, 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 bang. I think almost every episode of this limited series is going to have some big reveal of some characters that we know and love from something else in it that are around in that era. And there's 3 really big ones right there in Leia and Bria and Bail. And I would just love to see more of Bria because there's not a lot of stuff with Leia's adopted mom and Star Wars. We get a good amount of Bail in the Clone Wars and in he's in Rogue One. Can't remember if he's in Rebels. Is he in Rebels?
Yeah.
So yeah. I thought he was. Yeah. So he's in a lot of stuff, but not as much with Brea. So I think that would be super cool to see that. And young Leia. I mean, this thing has been rumored for a very long time.
Yeah. So according to an old rumor from Cinelinx, I feel like we talked about way back when. We do know who's playing Leia. It's Vivian Lyra Blair, who was in the movie Bird Box.
Okay. Now that movie has become relevant again. Let's go. A movie that everybody watched. That was such an interesting phenomenon with that movie. It's just this random movie that all of a sudden everybody was like, we're all watching this movie. We all decided this is the new thing. And then everybody watched it.
And then it was gone.
And then no one talked about it again.
Yeah.
She was great in that. Yeah, she was a great actress in that.
Yeah. I just love how this series seems to be like making us or specifically me rethink A New Hope, because when they said like, oh yeah, Vader and Obi-Wan are going to fight again, I'm like, wait a minute. that can't be. That, you know, A New Hope, like they specifically talk about their stuff in Revenge of the Sith. Well, wait, there's like nothing in A New Hope that like says that they can't just reconfigure that to apply to Obi-Wan Kenobi. And here, I've thought probably all my life that Obi-Wan and Leia never met. Like, the closest they came to was like looking at the Death Star and looking across from each other. That's it. There's nothing saying like she says Ben Kenobi, like she acknowledges, like, and she's calling out to him in New Hope, Obi-Wan Kenobi, help me, you're my only hope. Like that, you could totally take that as like Kenobi is a known commodity to her. She's saying, hey, look, you helped me out when I was a kid. I'm a little bit older now and I still need you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If anything, it makes her decision to call on him even more, like it makes more sense. Yeah. Like if they've never met, then she's just calling on some random guy her dad told her about. If they've met, then it's like, oh, you can help me again, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like, I'm sure in George Lucas's head, they had never met. Like, obviously, just like I think in George Lucas's head, Darth Vader and Obi-Wan hadn't met for a while either. And I think, but you look at the way it was written, you know, you can make room for that. And then on top of that, you can do the whole thing of, well, things that Obi-Wan said are then retroactively turned into half-truths and hyperbole. And so you could say that too, like, well, she knew that message might have been intercepted, so she's not going to give a bunch of personal details in it and be very vague about their connection. Like, why give up information about some secret mission that he was on? Like, you know, see, just because it's already happened doesn't mean it's not still secret.
Yeah. And, you know, it's all fake. It's all, you know, at the end of the day, Leia's saying all those things because the audience needs to know more than...
And you know what? He forgot R2, so maybe he forgot her too, and she wanted to make sure he remembered, as Hannah suggested in the chat.
Maybe. Although I don't think Obi-Wan actually forgot R2. That's my hill that I'll die on. He's playing along in that scene. He knows something's up.
Don't ever recall owning a droid.
Yeah. Well, the way I've said it before and I'll say it again. The way Alec Guinness plays that scene, he's looking at that droid going, "Oh, I know something's about to change," and
shoot.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. Things are about to change.
No more crossword puzzles in my hut.
Yeah. But he's looking at that. He's looking at, if you forget everything you knew about the prequels, Obi-Wan Kenobi in that moment knows that this droid showing up means something. Yeah. You add in what you know about the prequels, that just gets another layer, because Obi-Wan knows that R2-D2 is showing up to reveal something. So anyway, we got more though. That's not it. There's more. This one comes from Bespin Bulletin, and it's details about who Rupert Friend is playing in Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Rupert Friend, not playing a friendly guy. Apparently, he's playing the Grand Inquisitor from Star Wars Rebels.
What?
This is what... This is what Bespin Bulletin says. They say, I had separate sources relay this information to me over the course of a handful of weeks, with one source initially telling me that Friend is an Inquisitor and sported white makeup, and a second source outright telling me that Friend is the Grand Inquisitor. The sources added that there were at least 3 Inquisitors, with Rupert Friend portraying the Grand Inquisitor, along with Moses Ingram, the Queen's Gambit, playing an Inquisitor, and Sung Kang, Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift, also playing an Inquisitor. Previously, it was reported by Cinelinx that Kang is playing the 5th brother, also from Rebels, though my sources don't know the name of the character he plays. One did say that the character has a headpiece, and that's somewhat familiar to the one that the 5th brother sports in Star Wars Rebels, and that he spent several hours in makeup. As for Ingram, I was told that she doesn't have to spend anywhere near as much time in the makeup chair as Friend and Kang, with my belief being that she looks much more like her usual self. I was also unable to get the name of Ingram's character and what numbered Inquisitor she's playing, but my belief is that she's a previously unseen Inquisitor. My sources didn't add many other details, but did say that Ingram was the most important Inquisitor out of the 3, and based off some very small tidbits I've heard about the series and the Inquisitors, she could prove to be pivotal to a plot point within the series. So there's a lot there. there is a lot there from details about Moses Ingram's character, who is not Chris. It's not Barasafi. I will go out on that limb. But Rupert Friend playing the Grand Inquisitor, Star Wars Rebels character, another one making the jump to live action. What do we think?
That's awesome. Like I always liked his character. It was kind of sad that, he wasn't around for super long in that show and they moved on to other villains being the big bad for that show. Cause I felt like it would have been interesting to develop him for several seasons. So I think that's cool that we're seeing more of him potentially in live action, and just in general, bringing more animated characters to live action is great. I mean, I'm always for any character, even as Morgan, making the jump to live action. I mean, all we need to really see, Dominic, is a live action Puffer Pig. Now that would do it.
Bring on the live action Puffer Pig, but if as Morgan appears live action, I might boycott the show that week. I might.
But what if it's as Morgan and a Puffer Pig in the same episode?
I don't know. I would have to, either way, if they bring in the Puffer Pig, I'll have to bring back the old Puffer Pigs of Instagram hashtag.
Percy the Puffer Pig. I haven't seen him in a while.
I can see Percy the Puffer Pig from where I'm sitting right now, but I can't reach him.
How has Percy never made an on-camera appearance on
maybe next week. Maybe next week.
But I will say one thing that excites me about this is seeing the Inquisitor's lightsaber in live action.
Yeah.
I want to see them fools fly, man. They better take off. That better happen. That's canon. Okay.
Mary Poppins, yo.
Yeah. I just rewatched Twilight of the Apprentice recently. There's a lot less helicopter lightsaber in that than I remember. I remember it being like all over the episode, but it's really only one or two moments. Yeah. My only, like, I'm really excited to see the Grand Inquisitor. I think that's really cool. My only question is why Jason Isaacs isn't playing the role.
Yeah.
Like, with some of the other recastings, like I get it. I still would have liked to have seen what Ashley Eckstein could have done with Ahsoka, but I get why they recast. I get why they recast Ezra with Mina Masood. I don't really get why they recast Sabine, but I feel like Tia still could have played that part. Although again, I understand that they had a different look in mind for the character. But with Rupert Friend, you look at Rupert Friend, you look at Jason Isaacs, and then you try and imagine them in the Grand Inquisitor makeup. It's the same. It's the same thing. Like they look different, but there's not enough. You could, I don't know. I assume it's because Jason Isaacs was busy. That's the only thing I can think of.
I've listened to some interviews with Jason Isaacs, and he seems like a very nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also been around the block a few times, been in a lot of these giant franchises, Harry Potter, Star Trek, Star Wars. He's kind of done everything. I could totally see him looking at that and going like, oh yeah, be in Star Wars live action, but you got to spend like 10 hours in the makeup chair. Nah, just give it to Rupert Friend. I hope that was the case. I hope it was like, just like I hope that, with these other castings, it was the actor's choice, because I don't like that idea. And we just, there is this whole, thing with like recasting and stuff like that, I'm okay with it, but I do like, I'm concerned about not just the actor's feelings about like not being considered, but just also like, I think it's so good to have, Katie Sackhoff playing Bo-Katan. Like, so that's just brilliant. And I'm always just a little bit bummed about like, okay, we could get that. Just hearing Jason Isaacs' voice coming out of that character would be great, even though he's under a lot of prosthetics, would be cool. But I will reserve judgment. I've been wrong before. I'm not gonna jump to any conclusions at this point.
Yeah. It's an interesting choice. That's all I really have to say at this point. I can't really comment and can't really say anything more until we see it, or we hear from Jason Isaacs. Yeah, he did say something recently where somebody asked him, "Oh, could you do more Star Wars?" And he was sort of like, "I can't say anything." So I wonder if maybe they came to him and said, "What do you want to do this?" And either he said, "I can't because I'm busy," or he said, like you suggested, Ben, "I don't want to do that much time in the makeup chair. I'm not interested." I remember seeing an interview with fairly recently with Benedict Cumberbatch, and somebody asked him. It was one of those interviews where they were just looking for a quote to turn into a bunch of clickbait articles that would link back to them. And they asked him, like, "Oh, do you want to play Grand Admiral Thrawn? He's this guy who's all blue." And Cumberbatch was like, "At this point in my career, the idea of sitting in a makeup chair being turned blue over the course of several hours is not appealing to me." And maybe that's how Jason Isaacs feels as well, except instead of blue, he'd be white. But I'm excited to see Inquisitors in live action. Yeah, that was a cool concept in Rebels. However you feel about where they went with it, it was a cool idea and a cool concept, and I think
that has tied a lot of things together, from Jedi Fallen Order to the comics to the books. There has been this through line with the Inquisitors, and I wasn't sure how I felt about it initially because still in that Darth Vader hunted down all the Jedi himself, that kind of thing, that kind of 2013 thinking. Now I'm kind of used to the idea of like, okay, these things are happening. Yes, this makes sense. If Obi-Wan did show up, or they thought they saw a Jedi, yes, Inquisitors would probably be the first ones to show up on the scene, and that would be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be cool to see how this plays out, and I'm looking forward to seeing the fifth brother in live action. That'll be kind of interesting. That's not a character I would have ever picked to make the jump, but it could be cool. And of course, you need to get a new one with Moses Ingram. All right, one final report here. This is simultaneously like the biggest one and the least big one. This comes from Latino Review. They've got some details about Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Vader. And they what they're reporting is that Kenobi and Vader will face off not once but twice in the upcoming series. So we will get two throwdowns between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader. So my sort of thought going into this is that the first one will be, some kind of like short confrontation where Obi-Wan sort of has a moment, to go back to Star Wars Rebels, a moment not unlike the moment Ahsoka has when she realizes who Vader is under that mask. I suspect the first time Obi-Wan sees Vader, he'll probably won't understand quite what's going on, and there will be a moment of revelation. And then later on when they meet again in the final episode, that's when we'll get that rematch of the century that they've been teasing since December 2020. Something like think Qui-Gon versus Maul in The Phantom Menace. You kind of get a little bit of a preview match, and then later is the big showdown. Yeah, the first show. Yeah, that makes sense. It's a good way of thinking about it. I don't know. Like I almost don't know what to expect from Obi-Wan versus Vader round 3. I guess like it's 1.5. Yeah, like it's they're saying it's the rematch of the century, so clearly it's going to be like they have big plans for it. It'll be well choreographed and all that stuff. But like just looking at how the stunts evolved from the originals into the prequels, and now here we are 15 years later, over 20 years since Phantom Menace. Like, what else can they do? Where else can they go with this? And what can they show us that's new? What can they show us that's more than just people swinging glow sticks at each other's head? The world between worlds, going back and forth between different times and places as they're fighting. Yeah, well, still one of my ideas for this show that I thought would be cool is if Obi-Wan and Vader met through the Rey-Kylo Force Bond thing, and if when Obi-Wan saw Vader, he didn't see Darth Vader as we know him, but he saw Hayden Christensen's Anakin as he last knew him in Episode 3.
Oh wow, that would be cool.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see like Obi-Wan versus Vader.
Yeah.
But I thought that could be an interesting way to do it. I was still in the Obi-Wan can't leave Tatooine, so how do they do this
that makes sense.
thing? I was still trying to come up with an idea, and I think that's a good idea if they wanted to do it. But
I think the coronet has sailed on that one.
Yeah, I think so.
No, this is at this point, how do I say this in a way that's YouTube friendly? This is just going to be extremely visually gratifying Star Wars stuff for us fans. Like, that's what I think this show's going to be. I think we're going to need to suspend our thoughts about canon a little bit more for this show than I think we would for any of the other pieces of media, because I think they're just trying to go all out with this one. They're like, well, we got Ewan. That's big. He's like one of the biggest characters, and in all of Star Wars, like so many people, Obi-Wan is their favorite character, and he's not there just for a cameo like Luke and the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. I mean, the show's about him. So let's go all out. Let's have Ewan with everybody else, all the other characters, all the other things. Let's do it. Yeah. And that's what I feel like this show's going to be. So, I think that, they're going to be playing fast and loose with canon a little bit. And we're just going to see almost what Star Wars Visions would be like in live action, in a sense, where we're just going to get, what if Vader and Obi-Wan faced off in the dark times? Like, I think that's kind of what it's good. That's the vibe it's going to have. And, being Star Wars, they're going to try to make it work. They're going to try to shoehorn it in and retcon this and retcon that. And it'll try, but in the end, I think it's going to be best off when people sit down to watch the show to not be thinking about how it fits with canon. I think it's going to be better just to experience what the heck we're about to see.
Yeah, which, to be perfectly honest, that's how I think we should try and experience everything, at least the first time, and then worry about smashing it all together afterwards. This show to me feels like if you said to somebody, what would a Star Wars TV show look like? This show feels most like that. Like, you're going to have Darth Vader, as we know. We're going to have like original trilogy iconography. There'll be some stuff on Tatooine, and there'll be some stuff elsewhere. You'll have Luke and Leia as youngsters. You'll have presumably some other characters popping up in there. I think this is I think this show is going to feel like the Star Wars show that a lot of people wanted in the first place. And I don't think there's anything wrong with giving people that. You should try and give people the things that they don't know they want, but sometimes just give people the stuff they know they want too.
And also don't dance around stuff. Like, I feel like people you tend to like tease us with this thing. You're gonna go kind of in that direction, but you're not gonna give it to us. I think just going all out and going like, Vader and Obi-Wan are gonna fight. We're not gonna treat this as like, holy text that you can't mess with. And I will 100%, applaud them for their bravery in storytelling and the fact that they're doing this and messing with George's stuff, like specifically taking what George established and extrapolating on that and stretching it pretty much how George did it. Like, George did the same thing so many times. So like, it's not out of the realm of possibilities that they can make this work. So I think it's a very George thing to do. And I think anything you like, what would George do? This is what George would be doing, I think.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think, we heard about, George, what he left behind in addition to the sequel trilogy when he left, and he left some other concepts. And it wouldn't shock me to learn that an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie or show or something was amongst his ideas that he left for the next for Kathleen Kennedy and the next crew of people to pick up and run with. But yeah, that's it. Those are the spoilers, and that's all the news. We made it. I think that's gonna do it. So we can start to wrap things up for this week.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Special shout out to especially Joel, but also George and Claire for the super chats. That's a cool new feature that we have to help us get onto the Galactic Star Cruiser at some point before we die.
But I'm already there.
Yes. And actually, one last one from George, and this is awesome. He says, thanks for being my favorite source of Star Wars news and commentary for over a year now. Y'all are some of the best minds in the fandom. I'm very thankful for all the hours you've helped me pass at my second shift factory job. Thank you, George, so much for that.
Thank you, George.
That means a lot.
Thank you.
And we will do our best to reinvest and continue to make this show a better experience for everybody watching and listening.
Yeah, like we joke about using this money to go to Galactic Star Cruiser and that sort of thing. That's obviously not what we're actually going to do with it. We're putting it back into the show, and we're going to put it into making like Chris said, making the show better, and also making sure that we have stuff to give back. Celebration's coming up, and we're gonna have some sweet giveaways. We've already started talking about that, so if you can come and see us at Celebration, we'll have those for you, and we'll look into ways of getting them to people who can't go to Celebration as well, because you guys are just as important as everybody's equally important to us here, whether you're a Patreon supporter who's going to spend all weekend with us at Celebration, or you can only listen to the show when you're at your job. You guys are the best. Star Wars Underworld fans are the best, man.
Heck yeah.
You guys rock.
Heck yeah. So once again, thank you everybody for watching, for doing everything that you do to support us. If you're new to the Star Wars Underworld, enjoy the show, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you are just listening to us and you're interested in watching the show either live or later in video format, you can find us over on YouTube. Search for the Star Wars Underworld on YouTube. You'll find us over there. I want to remind people, if you want physical stuff back from sending us money, patreon.com/theswu is where you can get merch and where you can get access to those bonus shows that we do for as little as $1 a month over there. And we will be getting back to your listener feedback over at swunderworld@gmail.com. That is where you can send that there. Dominic, thank you so much for hosting today.
It was my pleasure, as always. Even though we couldn't go to Galactic Star Cruiser, I'm glad we could talk about it. And it was great fun to go through everything else that's going on. I very much hope that Rogue Squadron is actually still on the table, and that we get to see it someday, and that Oscar Isaac's in it, and Daisy Ridley and John Boyega have cameos too, just for good measure, and all that stuff. But in the meantime, really looking forward to Kenobi, and really looking forward to talking about that. And hopefully I called it, and we'll have a trailer to talk about next week. Or you can all just come on the show and make fun of me with super chats next week. I'll take that as well.
If you super chat it, we have to read it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And you can also
power comes great responsibility, people.
You can also super chat in things like "Stop doing stupid accents on the show," and
I have a feeling it's
consider
the other way around. I think we're going to be suggesting all the random accents that you could possibly do. Get ready. I have to go to accent school.
Yeah, there may be some limitations. Well, I enjoy watching Seth Meyers on YouTube, and he talks a lot about going to impression camp. So maybe I'll go to impression camp. join Seth.
Hey, wow. With this money we're getting through super chats, we can hire a dialect coach maybe finally.
Hamburger. Burger. Hamburger. Burger. Comment if you know what that's from.
I think I do.
I would like to buy a you can follow. I've seen that movie way too many times. You can follow Dominic on social media and his adventures at Impression Camp at Dominic J25. Ben, thank you for hosting as well.
Oh, it was a pleasure as always, especially a pleasure hearing from you guys. Whether you're super chatting or not, we love you. We appreciate you. Each and every week, watching, listening, however you do it. You guys are the best, and we love you so much for it. And I haven't done this in a while. I figured, why the heck not? I need to do it again. So now we are currently sitting at 33 days away from Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. 83 days away from the Obi-Wan Kenobi premiere. 84 days away from Star Wars Celebration Anaheim. And if the Disney schedule is to be believed, 659 days away from Star Wars Rogue Squadron.
All right. I thought, Ben, I got so excited when you said I haven't done this in a while. I thought the top hat was about to come out. And I was like,
I can't reach it. It's over there. Okay, next week. Next week.
See, I actually got up to get this guy earlier, so I'm not glued to this seat. I don't know what y'all.
I can't move. It's contractual.
Yeah. We have the week to get up and get all that stuff. All right, and of course you can follow Ben on social media at Ben Hart with no E. You can follow me at Seek3PO, and you can follow Star Wars Underworld in general at the SWU, so you don't miss anything for the next 7 days. So we'll be back with another show, same time, same place next week. And for anyone new, that is live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, and a half hour before that is when we do the bonus show just for our Patreons that they can watch live. So we'll be back then, but until then, for Ben, for Dominic, for all the other fantastic contributors we have here at the Star Wars Underworld, my name is Chris, and may the Force be with you.
It's a wrap.